Hi everybody, it's me, Tess with Tess Loves Yarn. And you guys, I'm a little crooked. I just noticed that. Let me fix me. Sorry guys. Okay, that's better. Like why I couldn't leave that alone, right? Okay, you guys, I have been thinking a lot about granny squares lately. And you know I have because I mentioned them before, right? I decided to try the Red Heart Granny Square yarn. Now, if you haven't heard of this yarn, it is an automatic color changing yarn that is supposed to work with granny squares. So I ordered 3 skeins of this yarn from Amazon and it arrived and I played with it. Meaning I made some granny squares and I'm going to show you what I made right there. So this is the colorway I bought, and the reason I bought this colorway is because at the time I bought this there was not a lot of choices. Now you guys, I will leave a link for this in the description below. And if you would like to go on Amazon and order this, if you use my link, Amazon will pay me a few pennies, which will help my channel, and it won't cost you anything because I am an Amazon associate. So I only get a little bit of money from them when you go through one of my links to purchase something. So anyway, from that, you already know that I do like this yarn, right? Now, to be perfectly honest, I am not usually a Red Heart fan. I'm just not. It's not the softest yarn in the world. However, with that said, the Red Heart Granny Square yarn is definitely softer than like the Red Heart Super Saver. And actually, I think that this yarn would be fine for doing like blankets and things like that. Because once you wash yarn, it usually softens the fibers up a little bit anyway. So this is, like I said, this is not as rough of a texture, if you know what I mean, as the Red Heart Super Saver. So it is a little softer and a little nicer yarn. So good, right? I wish it were just a little bit softer than what it is, but it's not bad. So I want to make sure I say that. And you guys, I'm not affiliated with Yarnspirations. They are the makers of Red Heart Yarn. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, shape, or form. I'm not getting paid to do this review or anything else. This is just my very own opinion, which is why I said I wish this was softer, but it's not too bad. So I want to make sure you understand that. Now, I also want to make sure that you guys remember that I have very sensitive skin. And so for me, yarn has to be really soft to be against my skin. And that kind of makes me biased a little on yarns that aren't like super soft. Now, I know a lot of people out there don't have sensitivity issues. And if you don't have a sensitivity issue, this is going to be plenty soft for you. I mean, it's not bad. It's honestly not bad. So anyway, with that all said, let me talk about the yarn a little bit first. The yarn itself is, it's a huge skein of yarn. It's got 417 yards in it, which is, let's see, equal to like 300 and, let me just look, 381 meters. So if you live anywhere else in the world other than the US, metric 381 meters. Okay, so this is a lot of yarn on this skein, and it's a worsted weight yarn. It's a number 4 yarn. So you get a big old ball of yarn here, and the price wasn't that bad. I think it was like $7 for this, $7 or $8 for this ball of yarn. So once again, not bad. Yeah, I want to say it was, I could look it up. But what I'll do is I'll put a link below and you can just go check it out yourself, okay? But the yarn, like I said, is a 4-weight yarn. It says on it that it is machine washable and dryable, which is very nice. It says do not iron. That's like really the only thing you can't do is iron it. But it is machine washable and machine dryable, okay? It calls for a 5.5 millimeter hook, which in the US is an eye hook. And then it also calls for, if you're a knitter and you want to try knitting this, it calls for a 5 millimeter knitting needles. Yeah. So that's what the yarn itself calls for. It's 100% acrylic. Let's see, does it give any instructions? I want to let you know that there is a pattern on the inside of this label, and it's for this granny square vest that this girl has on, or this woman has on. It's super cute, you guys. And so that's like a free pattern you get, which is really nice. This colorway is called Black Hyperviolet. Black Hyperviolet. Now, there's not a lot of like instructions on here. It just says, red heart, granny, all in one square, no color switching, keep on stitching. And that's basically pretty much all it says. So what I did was I pulled from the middle and started crocheting a traditional granny square. And you can see that came out fantastic. I mean, I was actually pretty darn surprised at how good these color changes were. I mean, that was really good. And I did use the 5.5 hook, the suggested hook size. And yeah, you can tell these came out really, really well. I was very happy with doing it this way because you guys know I love granny squares and I make them all the time, like here's one I made. And look at all the different color changes I had to do. I had to do a ton of, every round was a different color. Now, every round in this is also a different color, but I had 0 color changes because the yarn itself did this. So I was very excited about that, and I wanted to test to see if I did a solid granny square, if it would do the same thing, if it would do, the self-striping. And solid granny square. And sorry, I did not weave my ends in yet. So I've got ends hanging out, but you guys know how that goes. But yeah, so solid granny square. And as you can see, it did the color striping. I mean, I didn't do any color changes, and every row practically except this little bit right here where this extra pink is. You can see that. So I had a little bit of pink right there, but other than that, this solid square came out really good with the color changing as well. Now, as I said, I was pulling from the middle. I thought to myself, I wonder what happens if you pull from the outside of the yarn. So when I say I'm pulling from the middle, I was pulling from the yarn that comes out of the very middle of the skein. When I say I'm pulling from the outside, that means I'm pulling from this outer part of the yarn. So because there's two ends to every yarn, you guys. You know, there's the end that you start winding with and the end that you end up with at the very end of the winding process. So I pulled the yarn out from the very end of the winding process with this, which is this yarn from the outside, and I made a granny square. Now, I'm going to show you that square. It did not come out right. It did not do the color changes the way that pulling from the inside did on the solid square. So you can tell, big difference here. Big difference. So yeah, I don't know exactly why there was a difference between using the outside of the yarn, pulling from the outside, and pulling from the middle, but there's definitely a difference. So I'm going to tell you right now, if you are interested in getting this yarn and using it to make granny squares, you're going to want to pull from the middle. Definitely pull from the middle, guys, because obviously pulling from the outside is not the same for whatever reason. Now, you guys know I'm an old teacher. I'm retired now. I don't teach anymore, but you know, I was trying to think, like, what's the science behind that? Like, why is there a difference? Because theoretically, the length of each color change should be the same at the end, just like it is in the beginning. But then I got to thinking, okay, well, maybe at the very beginning, when you pull from the middle, they have it set so that those color changes. And see, I didn't notice this when I first started, so this is just a theory I have. Maybe those color changes are smaller at pulling from that end, because you know you're working your rounds like this, and so maybe they're smaller and then they get larger as the yarn goes, and then it goes back to smaller again, because obviously you're going to be making the next square, you know, unless you make continuous rounds and make a big huge square, and then your color changes are going to be off anyway, because this yarn is basically built for a regular granny square, and that would be 5 rounds of a traditional granny square. But as I showed you, it does work for a solid square as well. So anyway, whatever the science is behind that, and y'all, you know, I might call Yarn Inspirations and ask them. ask if there's anybody there that knows the science behind this self-striping granny square yarn, because wouldn't that be interesting to know? I think it would. Yeah. I'm sorry, got a little something something in my eye here, you guys. So, yeah, I haven't been getting a lot of sleep, so I'm a little tired, and I apologize for that. But I did want to make this video so that I could let you know my experience with this granny square yarn, and then show you what I did and how I came up with, doing the solid square and the result I got from that, because it was a little surprising. This is the one I did first, when I was pulling from the middle. And just on a whim, I thought, I wonder what it would look like if I go from the outside. Well, that doesn't work, so don't do that. Don't go from the outside, you guys. You're not going to like the result, okay? But anyway, overall, I really did like the yarn. Like I said, for myself personally, I wish it was just a little bit softer, but overall it's not bad, and I think anybody else would be quite happy with it. So yeah, you guys in the comment section below, let me know if you have tried the granny square yarn, and also let me know if you have tried it, what was your experience? I mean, I'd really like to know if you did, if you tried some different things too, or if you just made traditional squares. And if you haven't tried it yet, do you have any theories on these color changes? I'm wondering. Yeah. So leave me a comment below, you guys. Let's have a discussion. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right. So that's it for today, you guys. I have a test that I need to run off, and I have to go downtown to the big hospital down there, and I'm having a test done. So I need to run, but I wanted to do this short little video. I'm trying to get back on track with putting out videos for you guys. And I just want to say thank you for all of your understanding in these past few months when I've been going through some medical issues. I really appreciate that you're still here and that you're still watching. So thank you, everybody, especially to all of you subscribers. And, you guys just keep me going. And I really do appreciate that. And I appreciate your loyalty too. I'm very grateful for you. And if you're new here and you just kind of like me because, I am likable, then I'd be tickled pink if you'd smash that subscribe button and become a member of my little family. It doesn't cost anything. YouTube is free. So yeah, it'd be fun. But anyway, you know what's next, everybody. Be kind and be safe out there in the world, no matter where you are. I'll see you all real soon. Bye, everybody.